So let's wrap this up. Let's put a bow on it. Real quick predictions, Jay. Let's just go through some of the races, not all of them, the big battleground states. What do you think's happening in Pennsylvania? John Fetterman or Dr. Oz? Who's going to win that one?
Dr. Oz.
I think Dr. Oz too. That Fetterman debate performance last week, I don't know how he survives that. But I will say this. I'm not going to say that Fetterman is not going to win, but if he does, we all know the reason why, right? We all know the reason. We do. I'm not Jay. Show me the fucking lie. You have to be smoking crack, Jay. You either have to be smoking as much. You either have to have the great brain capacity of John Fetterman to vote for him, or two, the latter one, which they banned a lot of people for in 2020 because of something that happened there.
Exactly right.
Yeah. Let's move on. Georgia. We got two races. We got Herschel Walker and Raphael Warnock in the Senate, and then we have Brian Kemp and Stacey Abrams for the gubernatorial election. What do you think there, Jay?
I'm thinking Kemp gets it. And I think Warnock just squeezes by.
No, can't. No, it's going to be down ballot red. It's going to be Walker and Kemp. I don't think people are going to split their ballot on that. Arizona, we got Katie Hobbs, Carrie Lake gubernatorial election.
I want Carrie Lake to win. I think she's going to, especially because they refuse to do a debate. They refuse it. Absolutely refuse it. And the person who's dominating the news right now is Lake.
I think the Lake's benefit, the upside for Lake is that she's constantly talked about in the news, and that was a huge boon for Trump in 2016. Okay. Another one, Michigan, Gretchen Whitmer versus Tudor Dixon. This is I know Dan.
I think Whitmer wins that one.
I think Whitmer wins that one too. Although
especially because Dan is like campaigning for her, gonna vote for her, pushing really hard.
That's why he took her last name, right?
Yep. Dan Whitmer.
What else? We got New York, Kathy Hochul, Lee Zeldin.
That one's gonna be,
I think that's a pipe dream. I still look, I hate Kathy Hochul just as much as the next person, but New York is just so deep blue.
It's really hard, especially after she said what she said about doing it again to healthcare workers and shit like that. The New York gets what they vote for. New York gets what's coming.
New York deserves it. Look, this is one of those things where, like in Georgia, Brian Kemp, who is an absolute garbage human being, sucks ass. And Stacey Abrams equally sucks ass. So I'm of the belief that whoever wins that race, Georgia deserves it. Fuck them. Who gives a shit? All right, real quick. Any other Senate races that are up in the air? We got Arizona, Mark Kelly and Blake Masters.
Oh man, Blake Masters is coming up. I
don't think
that one, to me, that one's a real toss up.
That is a toss up. I don't know what's going to happen there, but
but Blake Masters is coming up.
I think honestly,
and what's really insane is Tulsi Gabbard actually endorsed Blake Masters
and Carrie Lake. So, finally, House predictions. How many seats do you think is picked up? Spencer says Nevada Senate. I haven't actually been focusing at all on the Nevada Senate race. I think Spencer has some Nevada bias, and he just wants to throw shit in there to try to be an instigator. That's how I think, right? Spencer, you can hop in here and prove why Nevada Senate of all things. He's gonna choose not to do it. He's gonna just continue to say, "Oh."
To say was that it's just been getting a lot of talk in the news because with the way that all these races looking like they're going to split, Pennsylvania and Georgia are probably going to split. And there's one that's going to split that isn't Arizona. There's a second one that's a very tight race.
Mm-hmm.
We've been looking at Nevada, or Ohio. I think it's Ohio and Arizona are going to split, and then Nevada's kind of like what's going to happen with it. So,
Well, look, I don't doubt that there will be splits, but I don't think it's going to be overpowering enough like it would be in Georgia, for example. But I don't know. I could be wrong. I think Jay, you and I are probably both on the we both have the prediction that the Republicans are going to take the Senate. I'm sorry, the House. Do you think they're going to take the Senate as well?
I mean, there's promising lookout for now, but I mean, these might be a little too late. We'll see how it goes. I mean, I think 100% they're going to take the House, and I
will tell you this:
65% sure that they'll take the Senate.
So one of the things I will say is this, and this is probably like the one thing that I can see happen, at least in this midterm election, is that with midterm elections in general, youth voter turnout is historically low. It's always been the lowest between the 18 to like 34, 18 to 25 demographic, whatever that, the youngest crowd is. And they typically almost always vote Democrat. The early voting numbers have not been favorable for Democrats. And these are Democrats have always been big on early voting, right? Like they've always been, vote early, vote often. Because the often part we all know is how they won in 2020, right?
Right.
But look, I don't think there is going to be as much cheating this time around, simply because you don't have a full-on national election. You have these Senate and gubernatorial and congressional races. And with everybody's guard up, it's going to be much more difficult to try to cheat like they did in 2020. You also don't have any COVID lockdowns like you did in 2020. So mail-in ballot voting or mail-in voting is just not going to be the same level as it was in 2020. More in-person voting, or at least more in-person voting percentages than mail-in voting. Roy Metzger on Local says Siraj is purposely avoiding Florida so he doesn't have to tell us he's voting for Christ. Honestly, I respect it. Anil Schwab says GOP House Dems hang on to Senate. I don't know, man. Look, it's a 50-50 split right now, and Democrats in the swing states are, I think, down either 3 or 4 seats, something like that. Roy Metzger says, I love that Siraj just straight up says they cheated in 2020. Now, well, like, look, if this is how they treat people who simply question the integrity of the election, if that's how they treat people, that's the tell right there. Why would they try to do that if they didn't cheat? Why would they try to bankrupt a young, thick attorney? She is thick. Why would they try to bankrupt her if they did everything by the book? Why? Doesn't make sense. Shit doesn't make sense. Anyways.